Today on Locked on Buckeyes, we dive into what a healthy TreVeyon Henderson means for the Buckeyes offense throughout the rest of the year. And the one thing the Buckeyes defense allowed Rutgers to do Saturday that no other team has been able to accomplish this year.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Victory Mondays hit different this time of year. What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back for another episode of Locked on Buckeyes for the Locked on Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Monday, November 6th in the year 2023, and today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. During today's episode, we will discuss the one thing Rutgers offense did to the Buckeyes defense on Saturday that nobody else has been able to accomplish this season, and Buckeye basketball is back. That is correct. Tonight is at night. Holtman's boys tip off their 2023-2024 college basketball season. But first, TreVeyon Henderson. He's going to be the talk of the town. He's going to be talked about a lot on this show from now until the rest of the season. Why? Because he is very important and pivotal and key to the Buckeyes offense being everything it can be in 2023. On the roster, he's number 32. He might be number one in your heart because, man, if he's healthy right now, this is post-Notre Dame game. Played against Notre Dame. Had 100 yards rushing, 61-yard touchdown run. Missed the next 3 games. So it was a bye week after the Notre Dame game. There were 3 games after the bye week. He missed those games. And then what did you find in the 8th game of the season? He comes back, and I'm not going to try to get the schedule right because it's escaping me right now. But he came back against Wisconsin last week. And what did you find? Henderson played bananas. That boy went smooth off. Y'all know I don't come on here and say things like, man, he went bonkers, man. Or, man, he was just playing out of his mind. That's one of my sayings. But bananas to describe how somebody played? I don't normally do that. But that's what he did. 162 rushing yards, 45 receiving yards against Wisconsin, to over 200 all-purpose yards against the Wisconsin Badgers, that's a good team. Not a bad team. That's a good team that he did that against. And then he comes back against Rutgers, whose defense is better than Wisconsin's, who Greg Schiano is a phenomenal defensive mind, defensive coach, not just in college, but at the NFL as well. A great defensive mind. And what did he do against them? Another game, back-to-back games, 200 all-purpose yards. Now, let's throw a little bit more context in here to really understand what Henderson's importance and him being healthy means for the Buckeyes. Emeka Egbuka returned to the field Saturday against Rutgers, but his production was not what you might think it would be in his first game back. Cade Stover, knee injury, had a brace on his wrist. He didn't play against Rutgers. He was also not on the availability report. I told you I was going to come back on here, say it a little bit slower. There we go. G. Scott Jr. started. Egbuka was on the field. Julian Fleming was on the field. Xavier Johnson played. Cardinal Tate played. Rob Manmarv was out there doing Rob Manmarv things when the ball was in his hand. Kyle McCord occasionally at times had a little issue getting the ball to Harrison Jr. and Scott Jr. and some of the other receivers out there. Sometimes it was on McCord, sometimes it was not. Just really confused at what we're getting from the Buckeyes receivers this year. Not in a sustained period, but there are occasional hiccups along the way. And then what else do you have? A running back room that lost Mayan Williams, who going into the season, he was RB2. I don't think he's been healthy all season. Chip Trainum, who early in the year I said, hey, he needs to get 10 touches, 10 carries, 10 touches. Didn't have to be, it could have been in the receiving game, which is not really his biggest asset in the running back room, or could be in the run game, which is where I would say, hey, give him 10 touches. That was back when Henderson was playing like he was last year. Vision wasn't there, not being a patient runner, not hitting the hole hard, running with an intent and purpose, but the intent and purpose that he was running with previously is not what we're getting right now. And for Kyle McCord, people are going to say Kyle McCord struggled and didn't do well and did a lot of things that were bad. He completed his first 11 passes against a defense that's only giving up, previously was only giving up 156.3 passing yards a game, which is better than the Buckeyes pass defense. And so everybody wants to complain and say McCord this, McCord that. Look at the context. Look at how good that team is. Even though he threw for less than 200 passing yards, he still, even in a time where there were some things that were out of his control that would have added to his pass, his completions in the game and his pass yardage, not everything was on McCord. You got to give credit to where credit is due. And that Rutgers defense is really, really good. You know who else is really good and was really good against Rutgers? TreVeyon Henderson. And he can be the bell cow. I did not think I would say that at all this season. Through 2 games against a tough, physical, disciplined Wisconsin defense, against a tough, physical, disciplined Rutgers defense, 200 all-purpose yards. I'm not saying it's going to get that against Michigan State because the Buckeyes are, I believe I saw 28.5-point favorites via our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook in the game this Saturday night against Michigan State. Also, they're wearing the gray jerseys. If you have a great jersey, wear it, please. Like, don't have it at home. Wear it. Like, just wear the jersey. It's all I can say there about that. They need him bad. They desperately need him. Because right now, the weapons on offense, especially with the injuries, Henderson and Harrison Jr., that's real. I mean, if Stover's out there, yes, but if Stover misses another game, that's a weapon that you don't have. He's also been pivotal in the pass game as well. I don't know the exact receiving numbers off the top of my head. I know it was at least 50, maybe close to 80 receiving yards he had in this game. That's huge. Because if, let's say, Abuka can't go on Saturday, or has to miss some more time before the game, or has to miss the game itself, and you have Routman Marv, you have Cade Stover, you need a third receiver. Yes, I say, and we all say, Carnell Tate should be on the field, but the Buckeyes aren't playing him. Ultimately, who can step up and rise to the occasion? Number 32 in the roster. He might be number 1 in your hearts, Mr. TreVeyon Henderson. If he plays like he has over the past 2 weeks throughout the rest of the season, Buckeyes will be 11-0 going into the game against the Wolverines. And the Buckeyes do have a shot to beat Michigan in Ann Arbor on November 25th, 12 noon on Big Fox. A shot, yes. I am not making my prediction now, but all I will say is this. If Henderson is continually going to get 20-plus carries, 120-plus rushing yards, 40-plus receiving yards, that might be exactly what the Buckeyes need and the formula that they need to be the national champions in 2023. So I'm going to say, I'm not making any predictions. There's a formula that we have seen from Henderson and the Buckeyes offense recently. And even throughout all of their issues and mistakes and penalties and missed blocks and miscommunication, a healthy Henderson finds a way to emerge and make big plays despite all of the issues the Buckeyes offense has right now. The Buckeyes defense doesn't really have an issue, but they did allow something on Saturday to Rutgers that no other team has done this season. What is it? We dive into that next on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Athletic Brewing. Now time for your game changer of the week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Much like Jordan Hancock, Athletic Brewing has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. Denzel Burke was out. Lathan Ransom was out. Who needed to step up in a big way? Jordan Hancock can play that nickel corner. He gets his nose down there in the run game and makes big, tough blocks, but also he was right there, Johnny on the spot. Proctor came down and made a big hit. Hancock caught the ball, interception, and ran that bad boy to the house. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. That's code LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. If you missed our Locked On Buckeyes postcast, it was live on youtube.com/Locked On Buckeyes at the conclusion of Ohio State's game against Rutgers. Go back and check it out in the playback format. It's there for you on the YouTube. It's there for you on the audio platforms as well. Apple, Spotify, or the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your fine podcasts. You can find the Locked On Buckeyes postcast for your enjoyment. We instantly react together post-game on every Saturday afternoon or evening after a Buckeyes win. This coming Saturday evening, join me on youtube.com/Locked On Buckeyes for another postcast after Ohio State's game against the Michigan State Spartans. One thing the Buckeyes allowed last year, and allowed too many times, big plays, explosive plays. Sometimes it could have been a screen or a quick slant that went for 25 yards. Sometimes it could have been a bubble screen that went for 38 yards. Allowed too many plays of 20-plus yards, 30-plus yards, 40-plus yards, 50-plus yards. They allowed too many of them. So against Rutgers, you're going to get a little something that is going to be maybe going to be a little tricky for some people out there. They might try to do some things, so trying to change things up and confuse you a little, but all they're going to do is run the ball right at you. Different variations of the run, but they're going to run the ball at you. And what did we get on Saturday? They did some little trickerations, even in some short yardage. What did they do? Ran the ball right at the Buckeyes. I'm not saying trickeration like a bunch of reverses and different things. Maybe try to confuse you a little bit in formations and personnel, but they're going to run the ball right at you. It's exactly what happened. Now, forget if this was 3rd and short or 4th and short. My notebook is not next to me at this point in time that had this exact down and distance there on my paper. But we all remember the play. Those of us that watched it, if you did not, go back and check some highlights out on the YouTube and let me know what you think about this play. I got tired of hearing Fumblerooski, but I also had to give credit to Fumblerooski, whoever called the Fumblerooski for Rutgers, because that was a well-timed play call. 3rd and short, 4th and short, forget the down and distance. But Rutgers needed a play, needed a drive, needed to find a way to get the ball in the end zone. They've been able to move the ball, sustain drives, and do a lot of things that kept the Buckeyes offense off the field and wore down the Buckeyes defense. Next thing you know, they're in a tight formation. Gavin Wimsatt under center, gets the snap, where I think it's going to be a QB sneak. He bends down, puts the ball between his legs. Oh, my. Manun guy gets the ball, a handoff between the legs of Gavin Wimsatt. And what do you find next? Manun guy goes off the right side for 45 yards. And I'm sitting here thinking like, wow. I cannot remember the last time I saw a Fumblerooski called in college football. Realistically, let's go a little bit deeper. I don't know the last time I've seen a Fumblerooski in a game at all. Not just in a game at college or the NFL, any level of football. And I watch a lot of high school football, a lot of college football, a lot of NFL football. Don't really do the middle school or little league thing anymore. I don't have any relatives near me that would pull my attention in that way. But what did we find? We find that a Fumblerooski went for 40-plus yards, and that was the first time the Buckeyes defense allowed a play of 40-plus yards this season. And Rutgers is not the most explosive offense or the best offense or the most balanced offense. What do they have? A quarterback that can run the ball and a running back that is really good at running the ball. Manun guy's going to have over 1,000 yards rushing this year, and it would not shock me if Gavin Wimsatt ended up having the same goal, having the same feat this year as well. But for it to be game number 9, and the Buckeyes defense has allowed I believe only one to date. I don't believe there were any more other 40-plus yards played in that made in that game. That's a huge accomplishment and a big sign of growth. I've been doing another podcast recently called the Cougar Cast, covering IU Kokomo athletics. And last week I got the opportunity to interview the IU Kokomo women's soccer coach, and we discussed throughout our portion of the show growth of the team, growth of her as a coach. And Miss Ohela Akaving ended up talking about the growth of one of the players who was named River State's Conference Defensive Player of the Week, and Miss Brooklyn Garber. Growth was a thing. Growth is coming into this show as well. Think about the growth that we have seen from the Buckeyes this year on offense. Excuse me, defense. I keep saying offense. Offense is in my mind because Rutgers and that fumble Ruski and 40-plus yards. I mean, go back and watch it. It was a good play call. I am not going to shy away from calling things what they are, but that was a good play call. But the growth of this Buckeyes defense is huge. And everybody says it's year 2 under Jim Knowles. It's knowing the scheme. It's knowing what he's saying. It's knowing the play calls. It's knowing when to do this move versus that move. The players have gotten better. I'm not saying they fully understood the defense last year. I don't want to go that far. I do want to make this statement once again. The players have gotten a lot better. And so much better that you can rely on Jack Sawyer in a way this year that you couldn't rely on him last year. JT Tuimoloau is being a bigger piece of the pie and stopping the run better than he was last year. And I'm not going to sit up here and say it's all coaching, it's all mentals, it's all understanding, it's all of the things that you get in year 2 under Jim Knowles. I am not saying that. Tyleik Williams, Michael Hall Jr., Ty Hamilton, gotten better. Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock, Davidson Igbedosin, who was not here last year, but we have seen his growth this year on the field. Josh Proctor playing the best Buckeye football he has ever played in his life. Lathan Ransom has gotten better. Eichenberg and Chambers, Simon's gotten better. I think Eichenberg and Chambers have a level of play that they can go up to, but I think they can achieve that and get there over the next few weeks. Consistency is key, but the players have gotten better. So 2 things are true. 1, Rutgers is the first team to allow a play of 40-plus yards in the Buckeyes defense this year. 2, the Buckeyes defense that allowed that 40-plus yard play of over 40 yards against Rutgers is the same defense that is viewed as if not one of the best defenses in the country, the best defense in the country. And it's a lot of it goes into the players. I don't want people to overlook or gloss over who's on the field. It ain't Jim Knowles. He's even up in the press box. And he's even up, he's the eye in the sky for the defense, if you want to call it that. He's way up top. Who's on the field? Yeah, there were defensive coaches on the field. I'm not trying to sugarcoat them and say, oh, they don't mean anything. They do. But you got to give credit to where credit is due. Phil Jackson, a great coach. But he's not winning, having 2 3-peats in Chicago if he doesn't have Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Phil Jackson, a great coach. He definitely helped Kobe and Shaq get to 4 NBA Finals and win 3. But I don't know if that Lakers team with Phil Jackson coaching them gets there without Kobe and Shaq on the squad. I understand that Pat Riley is a phenomenal coach, but I don't know if he does what he did with the Lakers in the 80s if Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are not there. Tony Dungy, let's go to football. Tony Dungy, phenomenal coach. I don't know if he gets to where he did with the Colts or Tampa without the players there on the team. So let's not miss an easy fact about football. We watch football. We love Buckeye football, but we watch it and we enjoy it because the players are doing some great things. The players are getting better. Yes, I understand Jim Knowles is the coach. I also realize he can only do so much. And his influence is only verbal most of the time during a game. He may bump a player every now and then. He's not on the field making the tackles, making the plays. It's the players. So, yes, the Buckeyes defense may bend a little bit. They don't bend as much as they did last year, but they haven't been broken yet. Not saying it will be, but they haven't been broken. Why? Yes, a lot of it goes to Jim Knowles, but also give credit to those players as well. Coming up next, One goal. I have one goal for the Buckeyes basketball team this season. I'll unveil that next on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. So these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's easy to create a job post on LinkedIn Jobs. So once you create your job post, add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. As you can see, there's my hand. My wife and I have started to rearrange and decorate the office for Christmas. Didn't know that I would have a Christmas tree in the office this year, first few months of being married. At least it's early in the year, but so we are. Christmas is a good time in this household. It's a good time, and got some Buckeye ornaments right there as well. Got a red and white tree topper. Trying to get my hand in the right spot on the camera. Got a tree topper up there. Got Buckeye ornaments all over the place. Even rocking a new. I don't think I've worn this hat on the show either. So if you're watching on the audio and you want to see the visuals, go to youtube.com/LockedOnBuckeyes or go on the YouTube app, search Locked On Buckeyes. Find this video, and you'll be able to see the things that I'm discussing right now. Buckeye basketball is back. Oh my gosh. I am ready, but also a little curious what we're going to get from this Buckeye basketball team this year. A team that is coming off a year they did not make the NC2A tournament. I believe they ended up having a losing record last year. It's a team. Yes, that is correct. Had to look at my notes. 16-19 a year ago. Even though they ended up winning 5 of their final 7 games last season, season was not good. Missing the NC2A tournament was not acceptable. I've seen Chris Holtmann get the best out of a lot of players. It's taken a little bit more time at Ohio State for some players to fully understand what Holtmann is preaching and teaching. I've seen him at Butler. Used to live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it would go to Butler basketball games quite a bit, actually. And the situation at Urban Meyer. Think about Michigan State and people saying that Urban's going to be the coach of Michigan State. Maybe think of Urban Meyer. We're talking about a Chris Holtmann-led basketball team. Forgive me. I have seen Chris Holtmann get a lot out of basketball teams and basketball players at Butler. And it was one of those things where it's like, wait, you're not recruiting like a middling Big Six school. I don't know what they call it in college basketball. I should, but I'm just used to Power 5. But they're you're not recruiting like a middle of the level Big Ten school, a middle of the level SEC or ACC school. You're not getting those type of athletes. You're getting athletes that are at Butler's level, a mid-major level, and getting more out of them than maybe they thought they could even give on the basketball court, and was successful. I believe it was 4 straight years that Chris Holtmann led the Butler Bulldogs to the NC2A tournament. The Buckeyes actually would have gone to the NC2A tournament in 2020, but the COVID and the tournament being canceled ultimately altered those plans. When it comes to this year's team is one that you're going to have a returning trio of players in Bruce Thornton, Roddy Gale Jr., and Felix Okpara. You have to see the growth. I believe Bruce Thornton started every game last year, and then Felix Okpara and Roddy Gale Jr. played in every single game. I do think you're going to see Felix Akpara and Rodigo Jr. Take a step up in just their physique and their physicality and the level of just the muscle mass that they have on their body and be better conditioned. It's really hard to be thrust onto a basketball court as a freshman with how physical basketball is at the college level. And it's not just a Big Ten physicality. You can go all across the country to different mid-major or mid-level schools, and what do you find? Physical basketball. There's a lot of guys out there that run a motion offense, or a lot of guards out there that'll run around on the court, but that'll find different ways to bump you or hit you a little bit. And next thing you know, you're like, "Ooh, where that? I didn't know I had that. I didn't know I had that nick, or I didn't know that I messed up." You got a bump on your leg. It's like, wait, what happened? Man, running off them picks all day, that stuff is a little physical. It's going to hurt a little bit. So I do think with Felix Akpara and Rodigo Jr., you're going to see a lot of growth from them just in the physical attributes that they have on the team. You add in Bruce Thornton as well. Man, if he could be 2 and done. He could easily be a player at Ohio State. Plays a couple years and is gone. The Buckeyes have one of the youngest rosters in the country and are tied for 11th youngest roster according to age. So when you think about that as well, that might not pull you in to what the Buckeyes basketball team might be. I understand this team expectations. They're not like they would be at North Carolina or Duke or even Indiana or Michigan State or Purdue. You're not getting that level of expectation. Literally all I'm saying is make the field of 68. I'll even count you being in the last 4 or playing in the first 4 on that Tuesday and Wednesday and then winning that game and making the field of 64. I'll even be that nice. That's normally not how I am. But this team, just make the tournament. That's really it. Now tonight, they do have a game. I say tip off and looking at the players from this year, the guys that will be standing out. The Buckeyes do have a game tonight. 7 p.m. at the Shot, Value City Arena, and it's at 7 p.m. Eastern. The game is on Big Ten Plus. Matt Goldman, Joey Fear, and Tyler Danberg. Joey, forgive me if I mispronounce your name, because I probably did. They'll be on the call of the action tonight. And the Buckeyes do very well in season openers, not just under Chris Holtman, but under other coaches as well. Buckeyes will be hosting Oakland of the Horizon League. There we go. And I'm expecting a Buckeye win tonight. That's it. Buckeyes have a game today, 7 p.m. I do believe they have a game. They have a game that's coming Friday night, 7 p.m. on the Peacock, and I want to say it's against Texas A&M. I know that because the Buckeyes have a game Saturday night on NBC. Noah Eagle of NBC Sports is calling both games. So you get a Noah Eagle on Peacock experience on Friday night, Buckeye basketball. You want to get a Noah Eagle Buckeye experience on Saturday night, NBC against Michigan State, gray jerseys, all of that. This is a young team, so expect growing pains. Expect a hiccup along the way. I also have a goal of them making and playing in the NC2A tournament. Out of here on a Monday, Buckeye fans. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. We're out of here on a Monday, Buckeye fans. I'll see you next time.